Wow.
People really do not like the MacBook Pro. I think we should focus on improving it for the next few generations. Yeah, Tim, I was thinking, first of all, of course, we should transition it to Apple Silicon, so it's faster, better battery life. Yes, that's good. And then the year after that? Well, at that point, I was thinking we could add back MagSafe. People really like MagSafe. We could bring back the HDMI port and the SD card slot. Ah, yes, that would win them over. Absolutely, sure. Yeah, and then a couple more years down the road, we could also switch to mini LEDs, so we get better dynamic range on the MacBook Pro. That's going to be quite the machine. How are we going to top it? Well, after that, I was thinking we could actually add a ProMotion display to the MacBook Pro, so it goes up to 120 hertz. All right, this is a very solid plan. I can't wait for you to roll out all of these features over the course of the next decade. Oh, decade. Actually, I put all of those features in this generation. Oh, you what? Sorry, I thought we had to make a really good MacBook Pro, so I put it all in the one upgrade. Well, how the heck are people gonna justify upgrading again after that? We'll make faster chips, right? No one's gonna care about that. Oh, Benny. Sorry, Tim. Should I go fix iPadOS now? No, you are far too good at your job. We're not allowed to improve iPadOS. Just get out of here. Sorry. It's hard to believe this, but we're coming up on around 2.5 years since I upgraded my MacBook Pro, and I have to admit, this thing is just a killer, okay? It had so many great qualities within a single upgrade. I'm using the microphones on it to record our podcasts. When I'm just lounging around the house, it has these amazing mobile speakers. In fact, better, honestly, in sound quality than a lot of Bluetooth speakers I've heard out there. It's probably a notch above a HomePod Mini, and of course, it's its own media player, so the display is fantastic. Didn't expect it when it came out to have a ProMotion display, but it did. The mini LED looks wonderful, especially if you're watching widescreen content. Keeps those black bars really dark. Way more local dimming zones than the mini LED iPad Pros have had for so long. On top of all of this, the battery life is amazing, and the performance allows me to edit and export videos without skipping a beat, no problem, and it's really not showing any signs of slowing down after multiple years now of content production. Not going easy on this thing. Recording, editing, exporting, uploading, live streaming, just like everything I could possibly throw at this thing, and it's basically shown no signs of wear. In fact, it's kind of nutty for a machine that I abuse this much to be holding up so well, and it's making me realize that I think Apple genuinely went a little too hard on this one, because all that they can really do with these future MacBook upgrades is slight spec bumps. We are now back to the good old days, just like when we had Intel, where there's very little to do with the hardware itself, and all they can really do is throw in a newer chip. And because it's Apple Silicon and we had that substantial jump with the M1 family of chips, it is now incredibly difficult to top that performance boost and have it translate into anything relatable for the masses. At least for me specifically, when I edit videos and export them a lot, it's very difficult to justify buying a whole new MacBook Pro if it's only going to save me a couple of minutes of export time. Maybe if you're more into 3D modeling or gaming, or you care about hardware accelerated ray tracing, that's where the M3 family of chips tend to come in, but I feel like most people buying Macs are not typically into that kind of thing. Those markets tend to be a bit more custom PC focused. I could be wrong, let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, but at least for my line of work, it's like when the export time for a lot of your videos, even if it's 4K at 60, gets down into the just a couple minutes category, to whereas now most of my videos take 5 to 6 minutes to export, that means that the maximum amount of time I could save by a hypothetical MacBook refresh in the future, let's say an M5 Pro or an M6 Max chip comes out for the new MacBook Pros, and it lets me export my videos instantly. There's absolutely zero time between me hitting export and the video being ready to watch. Even if that happens, that means the most amount of time I can save with that future hypothetical MacBook is about 12 to 20 minutes per day. Most of the time I'm exporting 2 to 3 videos. So when these MacBooks are costing $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 plus, it's honestly kind of hard to justify dropping that amount of money with very little time saved. And what else can they really offer with future upgrades that's going to justify this expense if it's not going to be through performance gains? Battery life wise, they basically put the biggest battery they could on that MacBook and still allow it on flights. They found the 100 watt hour limit that the FAA requires, and then they went a little bit below that. So physically they can't get the battery that much bigger, even if they hypothetically theoretically made a MacBook Ultra with an 18-inch display, still you're going to be limited legally by how big the battery can get. The display, of course, is already at the same refresh rate as my phone. Yes, I suppose with future upgrades they could bump it up to 160, 165 hertz, or maybe if they really want to get competitive in the gaming space, bump it up to 240 hertz, but the higher refresh rate you go, the harder it is to notice a difference in performance. I personally have a kind of hard time telling after 120. After 60, it's pretty noticeable for me, but once you're in that 100 plus hertz refresh rate, it's very difficult to notice any kind of real-world difference. And again, at the end of the day, I'm not playing that many games on my MacBook in the first place. The webcam is also 1080p, but even if I wanted a better webcam, I'm not going to upgrade my whole MacBook over that because I would much rather just use continuity camera, connect my iPhone to my MacBook, which has a substantially better webcam performance. You can do it via wireless or wired. It's very convenient. It works with my phone so seamlessly. So if anything, if I was buying another MacBook in the future, I would probably be okay buying one that doesn't have a webcam and just treat my iPhone as the webcam whenever I needed it. And I guess what I'm trying to say in this video is that after 2.5 years of ownership, this machine is just holding up insanely well. I would absolutely recommend it to others. That's probably the best benefit of these M2 and M3 MacBook Pros coming out, is it makes the M1 variant cheaper. And because it's still such an amazing computer with great performance, great battery life, great display, great speakers and all that, if you can find these for even less money than the new ones are, they are absolutely a bargain. It's the best I feel like the MacBook Pros have ever been. Not just in terms of, like, of course, performance, it's a newer MacBook so it's faster, but also just relative to all other laptops on the market. You're not going to find other laptops out there that are this capable, with battery life this good, with performance this good, and a design that's so portable, so convenient, and still has great I/O options. I genuinely have a hard time visualizing why I'm going to need to upgrade this in the near future. Like, I could honestly see myself rocking this same MacBook Pro probably into 2030, assuming I don't have any major cataclysmic issues with it, like, I don't know, the battery just is fried, but in that case I would probably still rather just replace the battery than get a whole new MacBook. Maybe if it gets stolen or something like that, but even then, I think I would just go back to buying an older M1 variant. I'd probably get it in the silver color. That's the one thing I regret with this MacBook Pro, but there's nothing about the new M3 variants that's really grabbing me, and in terms of rumors or leaks for the future generation MacBook Pros, all that we've really heard about is a potential OLED switch in a couple of years. And do I really need OLED on my MacBook Pro? The mini LED is already so bright, perfect for my needs. It's, again, going to be very difficult to justify spending that amount of money on a new MacBook just so that the contrast ratio goes from 1,000,000 to 1 to 2,000,000 to 1. Slightly brighter display. I don't think it'll make it thinner. My current MacBook Pro already has an incredibly thin display lid. I think if you made it any thinner, it would just become too fragile. So maybe the OLED helps with battery life a little bit, but again, I don't even charge my MacBook to full every day. I use al dente to cap the battery percent at about 80 or 90 each day, just to preserve the battery health for a little bit longer. Not that it really matters, because it's honestly pretty difficult for me if I'm traveling or on a trip to go from 100% to 0 in one sitting, because the chip on board is already so efficient and the battery is as big as it can legally get. Yeah, this is gonna be a tough switch for me. I think I might hold on to this MacBook Pro longer than I've held on to any Mac in the past. Assuming it doesn't get stolen or something, of course, goes horribly wrong. Like, I don't know, the display malfunctions, and to replace it or to service it is gonna cost me several $1,000s. At that point, I'd rather just go with a certified refurbished or slightly used 16-inch MacBook Pro. The storage to me is very valuable because I have so much B-roll that I try to make accessible and readily available for all my videos, so it helps to have a lot of stuff stored locally, especially when you're traveling. It gets annoying if you want to pack around external drives everywhere you go. I've done that in the past. I know that I could do that. It's just a lot more inconvenient, so I like having so much onboard local storage. That's going to matter to me a lot more if this thing ever conks out than hypothetical faster export times, because M1 Max is still crushing it in regards to how quickly I can output content. And if you ever are wondering, man, Drew was able to put a video out on that so fast, it's because of this bad boy. It has just done an insanely good job. I cannot emphasize enough how this is just basically one of my favorite Apple products of all time. Just does everything I was looking for, and Mac OS is so capable. I'm not complaining for more software features to be unlocked like I do on my iPhone, or how I used to complain about my iPad and my Apple Watch, but Apple just never quite gave me what I was looking for. But with this, guess it's just like, yeah, it does everything. It's the Apple master product, okay? So if you don't think I'm a sheep anymore, defer back to this video where I have essentially no negative things to say about this laptop. How are your guys' MacBook Pros or MacBook Airs holding up over the past couple of years? Do any of you feel compelled to upgrade to the M3 or M4 chip? Do some of you just like upgrading even if you don't need to, just for the sake of it after a certain amount of time? Feel free to let me know down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos, so thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you all in the next one.